Welcome to the XrossroadZ Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, 100 Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm Fempreneur Extraordinaire and Tech Diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you. I got on my shirt.
Oh, look at BF2BY. You know what? I'm going to be like you one day when I grow up. Because every time we do the intro, I'm all, and you like, and this Tech Diva, you all smooth radio voice like.
Everybody plays their role. So you do you.
Yeah, the feedback was, oh my God, I love her voice. It's just so.
I love you guys too.
I'm like, I got a voice too.
This is my Zen space. I don't come here with the rah-rah. I come here,
you want me to start coming and doing my Kevin Nash?
No, we can't both be like that. I think it's the contrast that helps. Otherwise, we'll probably put people to sleep. We don't want that.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, 100 Grand, your
Lord.
personal agent for change, making life easy. I'm gonna start recording right after I wake up, because you know how my voice sounds when I first wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's going on, y'all. This is the smooth stylings, Barzini and Dre Renee on the Crossroads. Late night.
We'll save that for a drop. We'll make that a drop.
For sure. So, y'all, this week, one of our sexier topics that's not sexy at all.
Might be for some.
It might be for some, but we're talking therapy and healing.
Yes. Yes. And everybody's talking about healing now, but nobody talks about what it costs.
Yeah. And but actually the literal cost of going to therapy, but also the mental, emotional relation. Like we're gonna cover a lot of bases with that, but while it is a trending topic that we're talking about, and I think it's great we're talking about it, I just think like different perspectives and not just saying it, right? Like, so what goes into it? And I'm glad that we've kind of gotten past the stigma, the baby boomer stigma, right? Of therapy is only for when something's wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've had some kind of, sorry, Dad, but I went on when I asked him about therapy. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, ain't nobody said nothing had to be wrong.
Right,
right. And it's as I've gotten older and just learn different perspectives, you learn that therapy is not about something being wrong, but it's maintenance. Like, yes, you want to go when something is wrong, but it's also maintenance. Just like you go where you should go every year or twice a year to go get a checkup or physical, your other bodily and your physical maintenance, you have to do mental maintenance as well. For those of you who are churchgoers, you go and do your spiritual maintenance, and you pray and you read your word or whatever faith you practice. Right. You do all these things to maintain your spiritual self, to maintain your physical self, but also your mental self, and we do things for our financial self. Like there's so many different aspects of us. And I think a lot of times men specifically, right, we don't like doctors of any type.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the reason why, even if a lot of men haven't rationalized it themselves, we operate in these spaces much like we operate in relationships, right? So for men, the question in a relationship that we hate the most is, or the statement when we hear, baby, we got to talk, or can we talk, right? Because it's like, we think something's wrong. We start doing the Rolodex of whatever we did, said, didn't do, whatever. Or we got to talk about it like we think it's a problem. When she might just, hey, we haven't connected. We haven't had a conversation lately. Or maybe there's something specific she wants to talk about that's not necessarily negative. It's like, hey, there's some things I want to cover, right? And we feel if we hear that, then there's something that we have to do, right? There's
Well,
some
that's
kind
the
of
bottom line,
right.
right?
There's
It's
there's something you
yeah,
have to
there's something I
do.
have to do or stop doing.
Right. Or I'm going to find out that what I thought was good is not good. So for men, if we're not talking, we think hey, we ain't everything must be good. We ain't had to have no conversations. So when it comes to like going to the doctor or going to a therapist, we don't do it because we might find out something we don't want to hear, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't want to hear, hey, you have an enlarged prostate. Hey, you have early onset whatever, right?
Mhm.
Hey, you have to change your diet and exercise. You can no longer do these things.
That
You have to
part.
stop smoking and drinking. You have
Mhm.
to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, right? Because now here comes effort, here comes discomfort, here comes a change in routine, and we are creatures of habit and pattern, and we don't want to change those things,
Yeah.
right?
I hear you. I hear you. And it's just thinking about the alternative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we're talking medically, but even if we're discussing your mental emotional health, ignoring or avoiding doesn't mean that those things aren't present. And
Yeah.
so,
But to us, they're not present. Like, hey, it's like sports. If the ref don't call, didn't see it, it didn't happen. Ref didn't call it.
yeah.
Ref didn't see it.
Well, and
And
that's
that's
why I'll just, as a Black woman,
uh-huh.
we are concerned
Mm-hmm.
about the well-being and the lives of Black men.
Yeah.
We are losing you all at an alarming rate for not wanting to know what's going on, or thinking that not knowing, or ignorance being bliss, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be in the moment, but ultimately, right, it's not for any of us. And so this gives us an opportunity to have a very real conversation about therapy, about healing, about being willing to find out things about yourself that maybe you weren't aware of, or some things that maybe you just didn't want to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, instead of thinking about it in a manner that will make your life more complicated, we can have a conversation about the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
From our own experiences, or maybe some things that we are looking forward to on our own healing journeys. So I'll say for myself, I have always had a very healthy respect for therapy. I have a psychology degree. But before then, I started very, very young. My parents thought it was important for me when they divorced. And so shout out to them, or
Mm-hmm.
whoever made the decision to do that. I don't remember a lot about it, except I was speaking with a lady that had toys in her office. I remember that vividly. I don't remember the conversations. I don't remember if we were all together, if I was by myself, if it was me and one pair. I don't remember those kind of details, but I do remember that being a part of my childhood. And then over the course of my life, I would say I had, maintenance and touch-ups through my young adulthood, specifically around grief. So after I lost two of my grandparents, I lost my great aunt in my early to late 20s. So in that period, I thought it was very important. I had also gotten engaged and then broken the engagement. So a lot happened in
Mm-hmm.
my 20s. I have not been since then, but it has been on my radar to the point where I finally pulled the trigger, if you will, this year to start looking. I thought I had found somebody, and then they kicked me to the curb because I don't live where they are licensed to
And they're awesome
practice.
too.
And so I was like, oh, dang. But, to me, it's a signal that maybe, as much as I wanted that to work and heard some great things, maybe that's just not my person. And so I'll continue to look. But I am on a quest to understand some things about myself that, I don't consider them bad, but they're uniquely me. And
Mm-hmm.
so just trying to trace them back to the genesis, so that I can be a better version of myself, right? As we get older, they talk a lot about stress and, self-care and relaxing. And I realized for me, I I don't know if it's that I don't know how to do that
Mhm.
or if it's not comfortable for me to do that. And so those are some things that I want to explore about, like, kind of chilling out. And then, of course, grief has continued to be um, present.
Mhm.
And I think it shows up in different ways. And maybe one of those ways for me right now, because I haven't necessarily taken time to deal with it, and I don't even know what that means. It can show up in busyness and just doing things. And so
Yeah.
I just thought, okay, maybe it's a good time for us to sit down, talk about everything, right? As a high performing individual, an executive, a leader, a sister, a wife, all of these things and hats. Where's Andrea in
Mhm.
in all of this? And so, yeah, we're
Yeah.
about to see. I can't give you the answers on this episode, but
Right.
maybe
And
in follow up
yeah, and
episodes.
to be honest, it doesn't necessarily mean there ever be answers, right? Because
Mhm.
answers are typically like destinations, but sometimes it's just an ongoing thing and learning how to adjust with an ever-changing self, right?
Mm.
And so, um, me, I don't like plugs in quoting myself, but I'm about to. Right.
Okay.
Because like so in my first book, it's a line where I say our path to purpose is a constant reintroduction to the many versions of ourselves that we're going to become.
Mm.
And so and I'm actually currently penning a book called Die Every Day. And one of the aspects is we are a different version of ourselves daily. We die to self
Yeah.
daily, right? And so sometimes it's not about getting to an end, you know, versus it's just a lifelong constant journey. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so for me, I got bullied into therapy. Oh damn near. Like
Okay.
me going to therapy is a story. So I didn't start going to therapy till I moved here. And I just didn't realize there were so many things that I hadn't dealt with and hadn't resolved inside myself. And when I lived in LA, because I was LA, I know everybody. I always had somewhere I could go. I always had someone I could call. You know what I mean? It's like I
Mhm.
was alone, but then when I didn't want to be alone, I didn't have to.
Right.
And so LA, being there provided me with so many distractions. And so when I moved here, I was virtually by myself. I mean, I know people, but I still don't have access to people here like I do back home. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I was left with my own company.
Yeah.
And
It's me.
it got deep to where
Mm.
there's certain subjects that I couldn't talk about. I started breaking down at the mere mention of it.
Mm.
And so I didn't know that it started to show up in my work. I'm a leader, at work, right? Well, at the time, at that particular job. And I'm thinking I'm my regular self, but they like, hey, you need to go to therapy. And mind you, I managed the campus therapist, right? Like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And I just remember, they kept saying it. I'm like, and me, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because again, that thing, if you find out something, you have to be responsible for it. So I
Yeah.
think I was subconsciously avoiding it. But I came into work one day and I had breakfast in my hand and I passed by my boss and he was like, yeah, such and such wants to see you, which was the counselor.
Okay.
And I was like, he was like, oh, she want to see you in her office. And I'm like, she want to see me in her. She worked for me. She can come to my office. That was just me not wanting to talk about it, right? Whatever she wanted to talk about, I wanted to eat my
Right.
breakfast. So I slipped past her office. And mind you, she worked for me, and I'm slipping past her office like. And so I go in my office and close the door, and I'm ready to get into this breakfast sandwich. And then she busted in my office, and my
Mm.
boss was right behind her, and
Oh,
they closed and locked my door, right? And
that could appear like something else.
it was a whole intervention.
I know.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a whole intervention. They were
yeah.
like, nah, and it wasn't it wasn't just about like the work or the work version of me or whatever they were experiencing from me, but it was also caring for me. And so they were like, you're gonna log on right now and you're finding a
Mm.
therapist today.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, And so they gave me rules and boundaries, like you got to pick three, and we're gonna pick one too. We're gonna find one for you too, and then we're gonna compare them. And you're picking it there. You're going to therapy, and God just really intervened. It's like I'm getting emotional thinking about it now because I chose one, and I didn't even choose three. I chose one. Like I went through them and I was like, nah, I like this one. And mind you, it's just on the website. And they picked one and they sent me the one that they chose, and they chose the same person.
You're like, oh, look at that. Confirmation.
Mind you, there are thousands of therapists on the web. It was on Psychology Today, like thousands. And we picked the same person, right? And I had 3 criteria for a therapist. I was like, had to be Black, had to be a woman, had to be smarter than me, right? And the reason why, if I'm talking about Black issues, things that affect me as a Black person, I wanted it to be a woman, because if I'm talking about matters of the heart or relationships, I don't want camaraderie. I didn't want to run the risk of, man, bro, I didn't want that. Right?
Yeah.
Someone that's experiencing the same thing that I am, and they're like, it ain't you. It's, I didn't want that bias. I already have my thoughts, right? Show me another side, a different perspective, so that I can compare notes and then try to understand, right? So that's why I wanted a woman who can, be unbiased, and it's like, hey, or she could be thinking this, right? And then smarter than me, because, pardon my language, I didn't want to be in therapy bullshitting myself, right? Because you start to, your own logic starts to feel good and it makes sense to you, and and you need somebody like, no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want someone treating me that, if I can bullshit you, right, it's no good. I'm not doing myself any good. And it was the greatest thing. And I remember vividly my first session. It was in person. It wasn't even virtual. And I went and sat on the couch, and she just said, so where do you want to start? And I said, well, no, I was like, man, I don't know. I ain't never did this before. That's all I remember saying. And 50 minutes later, when I tell you I'm bawling, I'm on that couch, ugly crying.
That's
I don't
it.
know. I don't know.
I wonder how many times they see or experience that from. Like, is that the opening liner that you always use, and does it elicit that response from everybody?
I don't know, but I was exercising the demons on that couch. But and then it got to the point where I had to go. I was going every week at first, and then I switched over to every other week. But it's like, it saved my life. It really did, and it helped me to recognize certain things. As somebody that battles depression, I'm able to. I know the signs. I don't always catch it when it happens, but I'm like, oh wait, hold up, I'm depressed, because I'm noticing the sign. I do kind of spiral, like, when I do realize it, I'm like, oh my God, how long have I been depressed? Does anybody else know? Has anybody else noticed it? You know what I mean?
Do they know the signs? Is it just me?
I mean, it could be just me, but I just remember how I started the therapy journey in the first place, with other people noticing things.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's like it's this microscope feeling, when it could be. I mean, I'm usually at the crib anyway, so it's like, who would have noticed, dude? You know. So it's getting out of your head and just working with so many of those things. So that's, I can remember my earliest therapy, because I was an adult. It was just a few years ago that I started for me.
So those are, wow. So varying perspectives. And for those of you who are listening, if therapy has ever crossed your mind, or perhaps you have submitted yourself to the therapy experience, click the like button, share with us in the comments what your experience was like, or maybe just, what you received from it, or what you hope to receive. And, I want to turn a corner a little bit about therapy. Clearly we're talking about our experiences pretty freely, but that wasn't always the case, right? Growing up for us, and definitely for, our boomer roadies and road dogs that share with us, they'll probably be able to co-sign that, therapy was not normalized for many people
No, they
growing
tell you to
up.
pray about it.
Right? Yeah. Pray about it.
And we're not saying don't pray. We're not saying don't pray.
Oh, no, we definitely not saying that. I am a fan of Jesus and therapy, and if prescribed, medication as well, right? If that is what will help you with whatever your journey is, there's no shame in that. And I think we are in a time now where society, people, those around us are more accepting and understanding. I think because we now accept and understand things about ourselves, right? Like it's easier to point at somebody else or maybe make somebody else feel bad while you're trying not to be seen. But I think, in a time that more people are embracing, like, I'm not perfect, not necessarily that you're broken or something's wrong with you, but it's like, no, there are things that require maintenance. There's some things that require healing or require me to really pay attention to what's going on. Or look, I just went through a traumatic experience, right? I mean, for some, it's a chemical makeup, it's hormonal, it might be something in the brain. For others, it can be more environmental that then causes that shift in our brains. We are no longer the people that we were before whatever it is happened. And so I think it is intelligent, and it's a great investment in ourselves to see about that and not just like suffer. Or just find a way to make it like, okay, well, I'm all right, I'm gonna suck it up. Or, many in our communities have turned to substance abuse, right? It's like, if I can just quiet the noise down, if I can drink it away, if I can smoke it away,
Or
if I
party
can
it
pill
away.
pop it away, if I could party it away, if I could sex it away. Come on, Solange. If I could, right, praise in the sky. I could do all the things to just like make it disappear. Or at least, again, it's not disappear, right? It quiets it down, or it maybe pushes it off to the side, but surely enough,
right,
it's back on center stage.
And to be honest, it doesn't quiet it down. All of those things are just to give you a visual. That's just you covering your ears. What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for watching the XrossroadZ Podcast. Take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, and like the page so you can get alerts for any time we go live or drop new episodes. Hit that subscribe button. It's still loud. The volume, if not, it's louder, right? Because the more you do that, when you come down, it's still there.
It's still there.
Like, hey, I ain't going.
I was just waiting on you. Look.
Yeah, you know what? I was waiting for you to get back home. We still here. We live here, And depending on what you're dealing with, it's not something that you can evict, right? So when people the more you learn and the more you talk to people, the more you realize what they don't understand, right? So when I first was brave enough and gathered the courage to name I battle depression, right? Or if I say like, hey, yeah, I'm dealing with depression, and I stop saying I'm depressed. I'm saying, probably dealing with depression, because someone who doesn't understand, the first thing they say, what you depressed about? It's not how it works. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not, it's a condition. It's not, I'm not telling you I'm sad about something, like something happened and I'm having an emotional reaction. No, it's a condition I'm dealing with, the condition of clinical depression, and so it's getting that understanding and try to explain to them. And then it's like talking to trusted sources. And because it's becoming more normalized as far as therapy, I think one of the biggest things that I was able to do is shed the fear of what I feel and or what I'm dealing with in regular conversation, right? I don't make it a conversation piece. I'll just kind of say it in passing. It's like, oh yeah, because I battle depression and I'm just doing this thing here. I talk about it like it's a cold,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah,
Mhm.
hey, I caught a cold and took some emergency or whatever. So, I remove it's like, okay, remember when we used to work at CRN and what they
Mhm.
used to tell us about the
God.
right, that was we used to work at a call center, y'all. So and they were some crooks. But one thing they taught us, on about sales, they said this: if you make a big deal out of the price, so will the customer,
Mhm.
right? So if you're like, oh, it's $49.99 a month, right? They told like, no, I
Yeah.
just said, oh no, it's $49.99 a month. You can cancel anytime, there's no obligation. And we literally on the phone like, you don't worry about that case, right? And we just skip that, but we say it because we have to, but
Mhm.
we pass right over it because we're not making a big deal out of it, right?
Right.
I think it's the equivalent of when a baby fall or a toddler falls, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh, oh, oh,
Right. We like, oh, and then they
and they're
like, what?
and you're like, but then when you're like, like, oh, you fell, they're like, and then they
Right.
laugh, right? It's almost like
Mhm.
they're searching for the proper emotion to associate with what happened. I
Right.
fell. Is this a
Right.
bad thing? Like, how am I supposed to feel about this, y'all? And then they respond to
And they
how
respond.
you
Yeah.
respond, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same thing if you're dealing with something, and if you want to eliminate the stigma of what you're dealing with, how you respond to it is how someone else responds to it. And I got news yesterday. I'm out with a couple of my boys, and he tells us, when one of my boys tells the group, like, yeah, I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Mm.
And it was a serious moment in the conversation, and we're like, yo, you know what I mean? And before lunch is over, we keep cracking jokes and right. And it's kind of like we led the conversation because we were ordering drinks, and I ordered 3 shots, and he's like, "Oh nah," I'm like, "You," and "No, you taking a shot? What you mean?" He's like, "Nah, I stopped
I
drinking,"
can't drink. Yeah.
you know. And so we had the conversation. That's how it led up into the conversation, you know. And then yeah, and how do you respond to that, right? So we responded how he responded.
Mhm.
He was like, this is, here's my appointments. This is what we're dealing with, blah, 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 blah. And then the
Mm.
young homie, he's sitting there, and we like, you need to go get a prostate exam. He's like, it's not my time yet. I'm not such a, it's like, so what? You need to
Start
start taking
now.
care of so
Mhm.
it's men having those conversations, right? About your body and about doctor's visits, and because that's what we got to do. It ain't, pause, even though one of them he loves to do. I was like, no, bro, like, all right, when it fall off, you wish you would have had this conversation.
That
So
part.
yeah. So I think just supporting one another, and you yourself allowing that space for others to be
Mhm.
able to come in that space, and then and it gives them the freedom to open up as well,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. That's really, really good. I like the whole association from the the baby because we sure do that to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be
Like,
crying?"
yeah, they're like, wait, what?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we talk about healing. And of course, for those of us who have been on healing journeys or have healed from certain things or maybe in progress, we think about the positive part of
Mhm.
that. But I think relating to how we started the conversation, when you're talking about men, there may be people who are afraid to even get on the journey because there are things that they don't want to confront, but also some people like themselves as they are, right? Like good or bad, they're like, this is me.
Yeah, but that because they're still avoiding the work, right?
Yeah.
Like some people would rather stay the same, because there's comfort in that. You know, I'm comfortable here because if I have to actually face myself, then I won't have to deal with what I have to do to get on the other side of this, right? Even if negative things are happening in your life, right? Some people can be struggling financially constantly. Some people always in toxic relationships. The reality is they're comfortable there. It's
Mhm.
familiar. It's toxic, but it's familiar. It's, they're like, they know how to do toxic.
Mm.
Right? Like, hey, I can do this. This is the pattern. And to be honest, something good, like we've seen the memes and videos or something like that where they're in a good, healthy relationship and they don't know how to respond.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I just saw one. It was I don't know if I saved it, but it was the woman like had her dude in a chair, and it was the Pinky from Next Friday voiceover. And she's like, "Who sent you? Look like where you?" He's like, "Man, I just can't. My peoples was like, no, shut up." Like she don't know how to respond because he's a good dude. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so if you're used to toxic people, and then when someone healthy and healed, that knows how to communicate and knows how to affirm you and knows how to support you comes in, you're waiting. A friend of mine said something, and it's a term that I coined myself. I say that I love you barefoot,
Mm.
right? And the reason why I say I love you barefoot is she was talking about somebody and she liked them, but she was like, yeah, but I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Or she said, I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so I said,
Mhm.
well, then I love you with no shoes on, right? And I was talking about our friendship. And so when I say that, it's like because there's no other shoe to
Right.
drop. Like this is it. This is what it is. I'm your friend. I'm here. If anything, I'm consistent. Like people
Right.
that know me
Right.
know I am who I am through and through, right? Um, and so it's kind of like, can you do that in your real life, and can you love yourself that way?
That part. That
You
part.
know.
Yeah, and I think we need to realize and remember, right? Healing and the process of therapy isn't about erasing who you are or replacing who you are, but sometimes it's really about understanding who you are and why. Right,
Mhm,
because as you mentioned, we become different versions of ourselves constantly, and you might be holding on to or relating to a past version, and
mhm,
and it's time for you to embrace or become whoever you need to be on this particular journey. So healing in and of itself and therapy is not a signal that you are weak. It's not something that you will lose yourself or your personality, your sense of humor. I don't think I've experienced anyone saying, I came out of, therapy and I can't take a joke anymore, So, but there are things that I think that people genuinely worry about or are
mhm,
concerned about on the other side of things. It's not about perfection. It's really about awareness. And once you have that information, right? You are empowered to do and be and become in a manner that you weren't before. And so,
mhm,
even if it is uncomfortable, I was thinking about like changing my diet, and it literally has only been at this point about 2 months, but strict for about 5 weeks.
mhm,
And I still kind of when I dibble and dabble. So every now and again, I'm trying to see how my body responds to certain things. And so I thought about, when I didn't really care. It's not a thought about like what you are eating, like just go eat, right?
mhm,
I don't remember ever feeling a particular way. Like I don't think I remember feeling like sluggish headaches that it just because it was a normal. And maybe I don't know, but I don't remember. But now introducing things even in small quantities that I have not had in a while, I'll like have to stop. I'm like, ooh,
mhm.
I feel a little, ooh, this
Yeah.
something's right?
Right.
Something's not quite right. And so just consider that what our normal may not necessarily be good,
Mhm,
but you don't know that until you step out and you are in a healed space or a healing space and you try to step back in or be who you used to be or you thought you were,
mhm.
and you can see and or feel that contrast, and that's only a short amount of time. I can't imagine once we get
Mhm.
through a year,
Yeah.
what that will look
Yeah.
and
Because
feel like.
the body adjusts. Really, it's your body adjusts to the fuel that you give it, right?
Mhm.
Like if you have a car and you normally put 91 and then you switch to 87, the car is gonna run different.
It's like
Yes, you're gonna get that little like, wait, you know what I mean? So your body does the same thing. And it doesn't matter if it's healthy food or unhealthy food. This is
Mhm.
your body says, okay, this is the fuel that we're using, right? So if you normally eat junk food or whatever, and you're not feeling anything, that's because your body has gotten used to it. It doesn't mean that it's good, right? There's only a time limit that your body's gonna run at all on this type of fuel.
Yeah.
You know what I
Amen.
mean? And so it's like you put 87 in cheaper cars typically, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's this, it ain't a Mercedes. I'm gonna put, in some cars you can't put 87, you have to put premium.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
one, you got to understand what kind of vehicle you have, right? And
That's
only
good.
you get to decide that. But when you start putting premium fuel, when you switch over from the junk food and start trying to eat the fruits and vegetables and the things that are supposed to be fueling your body, because that's what it was created to run on in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the body goes into shock because it's unfamiliar, right? So you're going to get the headaches, you're going to get the jitters, because your body is asking for the fuel that you were normally putting in there
Mhm.
because that's what was comfortable. But when you're consistent with the change, the body's going to adjust. And
Yeah.
now it runs on the good fuel, right? And then when you go try to drink a soda or you try to, it's like, so I have an addiction to Coca-Cola. Some I might have mentioned it on the show, but you remember when I used to drink them by the case, right?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And I stopped drinking Coca-Cola in 2010, right? So December 29th, 2010, I stopped drinking Coca-Cola. So people they scoff when I say Coca. Oh, that's not a real. You can be addicted to anything. So
Mhm.
and that was mine. I haven't had one since. Even and I stopped soda altogether for a few years. So now I'll have something, but I don't really drink colored sodas or whatever. Not that that matters. It's still the same sugar, but I can only have but so much. I can't drink a whole 32 ounce this, or I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do it. I want to get the fizz, or sometimes I'll drink the sugar free carbonated waters or something like that, or like a sparkling ice or whatever.
Mhm.
Just for I love the fizz. I
The
love
fizz.
that
Yes. Yes.
right. But
Moment.
my I immediately lost 20 pounds after I stopped drinking it. Just like boom.
That's sugar.
That sugar, and
Yeah.
so those things that your body is asking for. So when we're talking mental health, the mind is also asking for those things that you normally run on, your habits,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I'm used to doing this. I'm used to
And
listening to
thoughts.
yeah, and your thoughts. But
Mhm.
those things they run hand in hand. The things that you do train your thought processing
Yeah.
or vice versa, right? So it's kind of like things like pornography, things like violence, things like, what are you reading? Everything that you ingest, right? And your
Mhm.
mind is still it's ingesting. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
you're taking it in. The difference between the mind and the body, though, what you're putting in your body. The mind is picking up both conscious and subconscious.
Mhm.
The mind is picking up things that you don't know that it's picking up. The eyes, you're seeing so much that you don't even know you're seeing. You're hearing things that you don't even know you're hearing. There's so many
Yeah.
subliminals, and it's all processing. And if you don't take control of that and guard the gate, you can end up in places that you don't want to be, which is why people's like, oh, you have to be open-minded. And I say, absolutely not. I'm not
Open in my
open-minded,
mind.
right?
Yeah.
Like I'm very guarded. Like
Yeah.
I am open to hearing someone's perspective, but I don't accept just everyone's perspective, especially when it comes to me. And you know how defensive I get and upset I get when someone tries to tell me who I am, why I do what I do, you don't get to tell me, you don't get to tell me those
Mhm.
things. I am the
Mhm.
expert on me, right?
Right.
You can tell me how I made you feel. You can tell me how you understood what I said, right? You can tell me what you
Mhm.
heard. You can tell me, hey, this is uh how I was affected by what you said or did. This is
Mhm.
You can tell me your perspective on me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
when I experience you, this is what I see about you or feel about you, right? Because that's
Mhm.
you. I can't tell you what you feel or what you got,
About you. Yeah.
but you don't get to assign an intent onto me, right? You don't get to do that. So if you say, hey, oh, you did that on purpose, and I say, well, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. What did I just say? Now,
Mhm.
yes, I did it. Yes, it made you feel this way. I apologize for how my actions made you
Made you
feel,
feel. Mhm.
right? We can talk about that, and we can heal that. But healing ain't gonna come when you when you do right.
Mhm.
That ain't nothing but more hurt that's about to come,
Right, right,
um,
right, right.
or disappointment. So it's becoming self-aware. It's becoming the expert on you. It doesn't mean don't take or hear feedback, right? You can hear it, and then you kind of like, okay, that makes sense, blah 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 blah. Like, I'll give an example. Maisha, one time, years ago, when you and I got into it about, I can't even remember what we got into it about, right? And I'm
Mhm.
on the phone with her, like, saying what's going on, and I'm like, and I did this, and then she was da 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 da, and she was like, she's like, Jason, the thing about you, she's like, you get upset because if something doesn't make sense to you, you don't care about it.
Mhm.
And I was like, huh.
You
I'm
might be
like,
on to something.
yeah, right. Because me, it's about logic. And if you can't get me to understand what I did or understand why you feel how you, it's not computing. So now it's just
Mhm.
stupid to me, right?
Mhm.
So, and I'm not meaning to like just be dismissive to people's feelings. It's just I don't understand. Even if I'm
Mhm.
trying to understand, and I don't understand, I don't understand. So I try
Right.
to tell people to like, hey, you got to break it down like a 2-year-old and show me that I didn't carry the. And okay, now I got you, right?
Mhm. Hi, roadies and road dogs. While you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to stop and subscribe to our Patreon. For just a few dollars a month, you'll have access to episodes 48 hours in advance, plus polls, live Q&A, and reaction videos. You'll also get access to a wonderful community. So go to the website on the screen or scan the QR code. And we can't wait to see you in our Patreon community.
But that's me understanding me. It's not an intentional thing. And it's something that I try harder at, but I'm still me. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
So it's kind of like helping. You got to help people to help you. It's like, I'm not trying to be this way. This is how my brain works. So if you explain it or whatever,
Mhm.
but that's a journey.
Yeah, yeah. That
You know.
that definitely is a journey. But I mean, awareness, right? We've talked about that, and then willingness. And those
Ooh,
are things
ooh,
that,
yeah.
come from the inside. And I guess that will kick off
Mhm,
final thoughts, right? Being aware, one of the first things that I believe in terms of the 12 steps when you talk about addiction or various things is really, I know acknowledgement is one of them. I don't know if it's the first one, but
mhm,
I believe that is pretty close to the top. Like what you are not aware of and what you don't acknowledge, you really don't have the opportunity to shift or change.
mhm,
And so for many of us, if you are not aware, then it doesn't give you the chance to acknowledge, and we don't even get to the willingness. So I believe something like therapy puts up this big mirror in front of us. And so the things we've been avoiding, the things that just weren't clear to us, sometimes in an attempt to save ourselves, right? I mean, and I just think about how wondrous God made us
mhm,
to even have certain things about us that are automatic, right? Things that we don't even think about.
mhm,
And so going into protection mode, right? Something that is so hurtful, so painful, that we have the ability to block out, or I can't even remember, repress, I can take on a different set of habits to then shield myself, right? And that's not to say these are the best long term, right? Thank God for whatever has to happen to get us through those moments. But what we need to be clear about, particularly at this age, right? We're talking about big grown ages, Xennials, Gen X, millennials. We are generations now that are parents and grandparents, right?
Mhm.
Parents and grandparents. And shout out to those of you who are doing like a double. Like you have kids old enough to have made you grandparents, and then like you have little kids. God bless
Mhm.
you. So, you're experiencing this, but you have the ability to impact several generations by taking care of yourself. And so, what helped us make it here this far, it's like, thank you, clap, clap, clap. But that doesn't have to be what we hold on to the rest of our journey. I
Mhm.
listen sometimes to, friends or people that I'm close to. It's just like, it is what it is, or this is the way it is, or this is how we've always done it. And all of these things. And again, you're grateful for survival. But I think, we've been blessed to get to this age and this stage of life. And so it's not just about surviving, it's really about getting to thriving. And that is taking care of yourself. That's
Mhm.
taking care of yourself physically, that is taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally, spiritually, financially, all those places, like not leaving yourself to just wither away
Mhm.
or just deal. And it's nobody's responsibility but our own. And so that willingness is so very important once you have identified whatever it is, whatever it is. And I know some things are harder to accept than others. Some things, we deal with because of decisions we make. Other things we have to deal with, and they literally are no fault of our own,
Mhm.
but they're still yours to hold. And so, as an adult and a responsible one, and one that loves and cares for yourself, it is your responsibility to take those steps forward. And if therapy is a part of that, or you think it is a part of it, it doesn't hurt to fill out some sort of, intake form or request just to sit down and try it out.
Yeah.
Right. If you are a match, great. Here's another thing, and we didn't talk about it, but sometimes it's not a match, right? But that doesn't mean that therapy is not for you. It just might mean that person is not your person. So don't give up. Don't take it as, well, I tried, but
It didn't
it
work. Yeah.
didn't work out. Yeah, no, that wasn't my person. Let me try again, because something brought you there. And so don't let something small like that keep you from getting your breakthrough and your healing. So those are
Yeah.
my final thoughts.
Excellent thoughts. Um, how do I want to frame my final thoughts? Because I was listening to you.
But that's a good
I
thing.
was being an
That's a
active
good thing.
listener, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Um, be careful with fighting against going to therapy, right? I'm gonna liken it to money and finance,
Mm,
because some people have friends that make more money, like, hey, we were young together, and then this person was doing things, and as they got older, now they have money to do things that you can't afford to do, right? And or your friend group, they all make a certain amount of money and want to go to certain restaurants and vacations and stuff that you can't afford to go to,
mhm,
because you have to, you know, be a little bit more judicious with your
mhm,
funds, right? No judgment, but now juxtapose that to your mental state and growth. Imagine having a friend group that everybody is growing mentally and you're
mm.
staying
The
in the
same.
same space. And it happens more often than we know. And this is how it shows up. When you hear people talking about, oh, they changed, they acting
Yep.
different. They act so funny now that
Mhm,
right.
mhm.
You hear all that. And when you see somebody that's constantly, every time you look up, there's a new person in their life they don't fool with no more. Oh, I don't fool with such and such no more. And I know friends
Right.
like that.
You like,
And
okay.
I've learned to validate those, or I don't even say validate. I just kind of listen to those who aren't in a space to hear the hard feedback. And that feedback, it's you, right? Like, how are you falling out with everybody in your life?
Everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody, and every time you look up, you got a new set of friends and a new set of friends, and it's really you searching, and it's like when people say, "Oh, I need somebody that's on my level." That's true, but your assumption is that your level is up.
It's higher. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You think
Yeah.
you believe you're looking down, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of those things. And the hardest part about that is once you come to the realization that it's you, most people may not admit that everybody else, it's like being musty. Everybody smelled it before you did. Everybody else knew it was you. You know what I'm saying? They've been had a group chat like,
That's
right?
hilarious.
And now you're dealing with you were so afraid of the mirror that now you're on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so this could have been avoided if you hadn't avoided the mirror. And so now when you're on the stage, you're naked, or seemingly so,
Mm-hmm.
or you had a wardrobe malfunction and you wondering that everybody see it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that was definitely a nipple because I'm truly right. And so you just I implore you, don't be the one that's left behind. You gotta
Yeah.
grow. You gotta grow. You know, you gotta grow. And the growth is
That's good.
constant,
Yeah.
so it's not, don't think of it as this place that you're trying to get to. It's just go, right?
Mm.
And don't compare yourself to anyone else's destination. Like, your journey and your race is your own. You're
Yeah.
going to get to those different benchmarks in your life in your own time. Yes, you can move faster if you, one, accept that the work is necessary. Acknowledge that you need work. Accept what it is. So something that I was pinning, what I call the 4 A's of change, right? It's acknowledgement, acceptance, assessment, and action, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to acknowledge there is a problem.
Yeah.
Acknowledge there's a problem. Accept what the problem is.
Hmm.
Assess how the problem is going to be dealt with, and then take action,
Yeah.
right? But if you live in big D, which is denial,
Denial.
you
Yeah.
know, then the only person that's ever going to be comfortable with you is you. And the
Mm.
only thing that you're going to be comfortable in is comfort. Growth, if you go back to when we were teenagers and going through puberty and the sore knees, right? And the joints and the limbs changing, and girls, your bodies are growing in areas that
Mm-hmm.
it's like all those things are uncomfortable because you look at yourself and you're like, oh my God. Some things are exciting. Like, fellas, when we get the peach fuzz, we're like, oh, it's coming in. It's coming in. Right. We in there with a brush, them little 3 strands, and it's right. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm becoming a man. And the
Mm-hmm.
problem is we was excited that we were becoming a man physically, but couldn't deal with what becoming a man
What
meant
that, yeah, otherwise.
mentally and all
Mm-hmm.
this other stuff and with the world, right? So the same way that you're growing physically, though, going to the gym and health is, it's sexy now, it's trending, and everybody's body transformation, right?
Yeah.
But don't be that person that's doing all of that just to cover up the lack of mental transformation and
Mm.
growth, right? If I look good, then no, right?
Yeah.
So we got to add on, and we're constantly growing. Dre and I, we're constantly growing. We have these conversations. We talk about the things that is going on, y'all. And though we talk about these subjects, we're never talking from a perspective of arrival. We're
Right.
talking from a perspective of journey,
It's dope.
constantly journeying,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, and the journey is going to bring y'all to a crossroads, and we glad that it brought you to this crossroads, y'all.
Yes.
And we thank y'all
Absolutely.
that it brings y'all here every week, because we want to cover these topics, and we can go on and on for this. We're gonna revisit this topic, in different ways. But we thank y'all. We appreciate y'all, and that y'all continue to grow us and grow with us, right?
Absolutely.
So with that being said, we will see y'all next week, same place, same time. And in closing, always remember,
be free to be you.
We'll see y'all next week.
Y'all like my new headphones? Stay tuned for the story.
All right, y'all.
Bye.
This has been the Crossroads Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.